Okay, this is part 45 from Best of the West in Art, Music, Movies, and Books by me, Pete Rogers. We're now in the chapter about the Belle Epoque, the greatest paintings of the 1800s. And the 1800s is the greatest time ever in the history of painting. Everybody knows about the Italian Renaissance, and yes, it was magnificent. Michelangelo, Raphael, etc. Sandro Botticelli, Roger van der Weyden, etc. But the greatest painting ever in the history of the world was in the 1800s. In terms of the amount of it, there was a tremendous amount. It's sort of like the secret Renaissance. Everybody knows ancient Greeks, Italian Renaissance, but there was an equivalent of another Renaissance in the 1800s in Europe. The latter part of it was called the Belle Epoque, the beautiful time, but part of it would be called the Victorian Renaissance. Okay, Belle Epoque is a French term, Victorian Renaissance is an English term, and there was also the Catholic Revival in England. There was a great group of English artists called the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. Okay, and here's another great artist, this guy John Petty. This painting right here is like the Knight's Vigil. He did a lot of stuff from Scotland, John Petty. So there it is from 1884. And I'll put songs that go with them. This totally goes with the song Simple Man by Lynyrd Skynyrd. And here is the Accolade. A lot of stuff like along the legends of King Arthur coming out of England. This is painted by, Edmund Leighton. He's a magnificent painter. He's one of the greatest painters of all time. You'll see he's got tons of great paintings relating to topics of chivalry. Here's another painting, the Dedication, Edmund Leighton. They're just beautiful. One after another, you'll see they're magnificent. This is what I mean by Christian painting. It's not just good, it's superlative. These are masterpieces of beauty. Okay? And that's our history. There should be an art appreciation class in every high school and college. It should be required because you learn your history from looking at all these paintings. And here is Sir Galahad on his quest to find the Holy Grail. And what is she doing there? Okay. Looks like an angel. All right, that's by Gustav Schmaltz. Here's another Sir Galahad on his quest for the Holy Grail. This time the painting's by Arthur Hughes. And only the knight who was worthy could find the Holy Grail, could sit in the perilous seat. That was dangerous for anybody who was not worthy to sit in. So Sir Galahad is on his quest. Okay, now here is Guinevere and Lancelot. So even though Lancelot was the best knight at fighting, he didn't get to be the one to find the Holy Grail because he was considered unworthy because he was bonking Guinevere, who was the wife of King Arthur, of course. So he shouldn't have been doing that. But those romances, especially all those French authors writing about it, made the whole legend of King Arthur stuff a lot more popular. And here's Galahad at the Castle of the Maidens by a painting by Edwin Austin Abbey. And there were scenes of all this stuff in the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, one of the funniest movies of all time. Here's another story from the Legends of King Arthur, Tristan and Isolde. Okay. Star-crossed lover. She's already betrothed to King Mark, okay, and he doesn't like what he's seeing there. And here is My Fair Lady by Edmund Leighton, and this painting certainly reminds me a lot of Dr. John McDougall and his wife, doesn't it? Okay, very nice. Here is one of the most famous romances of all time, Abelard and Eloise. So Abelard was the great Aristotelian scholar in all of Europe. He was the best one. And that little weasel, Bernard Clairvaux, was kind of sabotaging his work. I didn't like that. I like Abelard a lot more than I like Bernard or Clairvaux. Anyways, his student Eloise and him fell in love, had a child together. Her uncle wasn't happy about it, to say the least. I'll let you look up the rest of the story. But it's still a beautiful painting, interesting story. All right, here's the two kings. So here's the one king on the throne, and here's King Christ. And King Christ is more important than any ruler, contemporary secular ruler. And the secular rulers are better when they keep in mind King Christ. Okay, here is the Death of King Arthur by William Bell Scott, the great King Arthur of the Round Table, of fairness, of making things better for everybody. the hero of chivalry, another Christ-like figure. And here's another painting, The Death of King Arthur, this one by James Arthur from 1860. Okay, here's a painting about slavery. You know, and in USA they always try to act like, oh, slavery is, just white people being unfair to blacks. It is Christianity that got rid of slavery. Okay, slavery still exists all over the world except for in Christian countries. And even in Christian countries, they're trying to bring it back. That's why they want to get rid of Christianity. They want to bring back slavery on a large scale, okay? And it still continues throughout all these other countries. There's tons of blacks owning blacks for slavery in Africa. There's tons of Muslims that still own slaves. There's tons of slavery in India and in most other countries of the world that are non-Christian. That's just a fact, okay? It's nothing new. It's been going on for thousands of years, not hundreds of years, thousands of years. Here's another painting called The White Slave by Ernest Norman, 1884. Okay. Muslims would kidnap them off their boats and stuff and sell them into slavery. Okay. It's been going on a long time. In the Roman Empire, Julius Caesar was, captured and sold into slavery, but he escaped. And here's another painting. This one is called Maternity by Edmund Leighton. Rather beautiful. The nun's looking at that, wondering, wow, wouldn't she maybe want to have a baby? And there's a lot of symbolism here in that, the red like for the blood of Christ, the blue like for Mary, Queen of Heaven. But, just beautiful, the Edmund Leighton painting. I think we'll leave it at that one today. That's a good one to stop on. It's rather worth contemplating. Hope you found those interesting, enjoyable.